I'm just now realizing that a lot of my favorite bands follow up their breakthrough album with an album that is intense or sometimes even very much more angry than their breakthrough. While I'm a fan of a lot of different bands and a lot of different genres, something I'm now realizing is that, a lot of bands genuinely follow up their breakthrough album with something that is very much more angry a lot of the time. There's a lot of different examples, like In Utero and Pinkerton, and up to a lesser extent Good and Evil. However, one album that I feel like rings tried and true to this is, Insomniac. Insomniac is Green Day's fourth studio album that was released on Reprise Records on October 10th, 1995. And truth be told, I kinda think this has become one of Green Day's more underappreciated albums. You see, while albums like Warning and up to a lesser extent Nimrod have been kind of, getting more traction recently, I feel like Insomniac has been stuck in the past due to one reason that a lot of people believe. However, I will get into that belief later, as I will first tell you about this album's background and recording process. This story has been told a million times over and over again, so I'll try and make it as quickly as possible here. You see, in 1993, a then underground Green Day had signed to the major label Reprise, and that caused a big controversy in the underground punk scene, specifically in the Bay Area. You see, Green Day had been accused of selling out by some very gatekeepy punk rockers, and that mindset was so common to where they got banned from one of their favorite venues, 924 Gilman Street. And then Green Day themselves were also starting to become kinda concerned with what they were going to be. You see, at this time, Green Day were playing very big venues, and they didn't like that, as they didn't want to be that type of band. They were becoming the thing they hated, if you will. And then you take that and you mix it with a possible meth addiction. While never being outright confirmed, let's be real, around this time Green Day were suffering with some serious drug issues, especially Billy Joe Armstrong himself. Hell, in an interview it was revealed that Billy Joe wrote the original demo lyrics to Basket Case while he was on crystal meth. So what do you get when you combine a very upset and very frustrated band with, hard drugs? Well, I'll tell you what you get. You get a lot of demos which would eventually form the Insomniac track list. Most of the songs were written and rehearsed in a very small classic-style home in East Oakland, California. Seemingly, the recording process was very interesting as, a lot of caffeine was used to try and get as much energy into the songs as possible. A lot of coffee, a lot of meth, and a lot of drum cymbals were used, as almost in between every single one of the songs, Trey Cool would change the cymbals out. When it came to the album art, Green Day had contacted Winston Smith, a collage artist, to make the art, and what they did was they used this piece, God Told Me to Skin You Alive, however changed the guitar to make the woman hold Billy Joe's blue Stratocaster. Also is where the album title comes from, as when Billy Joe asked him how he managed to make such intricate pieces in short times, Smith answered, "It is easy for me, I am an insomniac." Not too long after, the album was then released on October 10th, 1995. Now, I want to actually take a moment to look at the album, and more importantly, some of the themes that it presents to me as a listener. Straight off the bat, Insomniac hits you with Armitage Shanks, which is a way better opener than Burnout in my opinion. And it's kind of funny that I'm saying that, because the more I'm thinking about it, the more these two songs are about the same thing, which is being frustrated. However, the two ways these songs present the frustration is very differently, as Burnout is about, being burnt out. It's about feeling so burnt out to where you just kind of hate life and everything around it. Armitage Shanks, on the other hand, seems to be much more about, just mental illness, if anything. To be more specific, I feel like Armitage Shanks is a song about a guy who just hates everything and feels lost in the world. Then you get to the instrumental part of things, and it sort of reveals where Insomniac got left behind a bit. It is very commonly believed that Insomniac just sounds like Dookie. And to that I have to say, sort of, but not too terribly much. While on paper it does sound the same as Dookie, you start to realize the more you listen to it that it does have some very big differences in terms of composition. The guitars are still very distorted, however this time they are even more distorted as they had custom electronics put into them, and the amps were tested out to make them sound as electric and as distorted and as thick as possible. The bass line's got a huge improvement, as now almost every single song on this album has a genuinely great bass line, and the drums are very very powerful and very bouncing. And then you get to the lyrical side of things, and it's a lot like Dookie, except for just way more intense at times, or flat out just negative. Songs like the aforementioned Armitage Shinks are about feeling lost in life and hating everything around you. Songs like Panic Song are about having a panic attack, and the bass line really helps implement that better into the song. Geek, Stink Breath, and Parts of Brain Stew are about heavy meth usage. And Stuart and The Ave, while being a very nice sounding song, is a very negative song about a breakup. Case in point, a lot of the lyrical themes on Insomniac are just very negative. And truth be told, I actually really like that, and while it does give this album a lot less depth, it does make it a lot more of a punch. Some of my favorite songs on this album are songs like Stuart in The Avenue, because I really like that bass line. I also like how just kind of perfect it sounds. I can't really describe it, but it sounds like it was either mixed or just made better, and I feel like it really could have been a single. I also really like Tightwad Hill because of just how fast it is. It is not the fastest song on this album, but it is still pretty fast, and it sounds pretty good, and I actually really like the chorus to that song. Another really fast but really good song is Panic Song, because the bass line on that song is very, very fast. Now granted, it is also the song that Trey Cool tore the calluses off his hand while, doing the drums for it, but still, it sounds pretty damn good. Truth be told, that's my opinion for kind of all the songs on Insomniac. They all do sound pretty good. Some people say they all kind of stick together, but me personally, I don't really hear it. I think all songs do have their own identity. Though my least favorite song is probably Babs Yuva Who. I just really don't like it that much. Yeah, sure, it is probably the second fastest song on this album, but nothing other than the speed grabs me. I feel like it's kind of just a bit basic. Still, I love all 14 tracks, and none of them are really skips in my opinion. After Insomniac had released, truth be told, I feel like the promotion for it was kind of slim. The album's lead single, Geek Stink Breath, had gotten his music video removed off MTV due to the teeth surgery parts. And then there was the Insomniac tour where the last 20 shows were cancelled because the band got homesick, so they decided to go spend time at their home. Now granted, one of Green Day's biggest songs came out of Insomniac, and that was Brain Stew, or Brain Stew and Jaded. And it makes sense, as while I do love a lot of the fast-paced songs on this album, Brain Stew is really slow, and it actually really helped it stand out. And it also got a music video. And with that being said, the album still did pretty well on an objective scale. Commercially speaking, it debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and sold 171,000 copies on the first week of its release. And the album is Green Day's third most sold album of all time. Also, it was very well received by critics, with the most common piece of criticism the album getting was they didn't evolve their sound too much from Dookie. Still, the album was very well received by critics, and while it was a financial disappointment, it still didn't really sell too badly, all things considered. One thing to note is that when Green Day stopped their tour for Insomniac and they went back home, it is alleged that they wrote several songs that eventually went on their next album, Nimrod. I love Nimrod, and I'm probably going to make a video about it someday, but to end this video, I'm going to say you should probably go listen to Insomniac. It's a genuinely great album that has a lot of just dark lyrical themes that I think really work. But that has been the video, and this is Gusak signing out. See ya!